Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this afternoon's webinar. Today, we're going to talk about kind of giving you a guide through your myLAGERS account as a member. My name is Jeff Pabst. I'm the Education and Outreach Coordinator here at LAGERS, and I'm going to be the moderator for today's webinar. So kind of what to expect for today. We're going to go through a lot of different things, but before we get too far, let's talk about how you're going to ask questions. That's kind of my job today, is to field those questions. And if there's any that I need to elevate to our guest speaker today, I'll elevate them to them. How to ask questions. When you logged into the Zoom webinar, there's a menu that's at the bottom of the screen that you're seeing our PowerPoint screen on right now. There's a section in there that's called Q&A. So when you ask a question, it'll come in to me. I'll see those questions. I might type them back to you with an answer, but if it's something that I feel like Tammy might be able to give some better insight on, I will elevate it to her. As far as agenda today, we'll probably go about 45 minutes, maybe less, maybe more, kind of depends on questions. And then kind of what to expect. These are kind of the 4 things we're going to hit on today. We're going to give you a step-by-step process for completing your myLAGERS enrollment. So if you don't have a myLAGERS account, or if you're trying to help those navigate myLAGERS, just gives you an idea of how folks are going to go through that process to set themselves up on myLAGERS. Then we're going to give you an overview of your homepage and all the things that you can access from that homepage. Then we're going to talk about how you can complete a benefit estimate on myLAGERS. It's probably one of the better tools that a member that's maybe not real close to retirement has at their disposal on myLAGERS. And then, of course, we're finally going to finish it up with the online retirement application process on myLAGERS. So if you didn't know, that's something you can do within the system. And that brings me to our guest speaker for today. Our guest speaker is Tammy Yagers. She's the Assistant Executive Director of Operations here at LAGERS. She's been with us for 21 years, so that's a significant amount of time. So she has a very significant amount of institutional knowledge as well. She brings to the table a very intimate knowledge of our administration system called Eclipse, which is what myLAGERS is ran from. She was integral in the development and building of this system. So she's kind of what I would like to call our internal subject matter expert on all things myLAGERS. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to her and she'll take us from here. But again, if you do have any questions, make sure you're typing them in on that Q&A section.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. You can hear me okay, right?
Sure can.
All right. Let's get started. All right. So the first things first, how do you find myLAGERS? So you're going to log into just our main website, which is the www.mylagers.org. And on our homepage on the website, you'll see there's a green box that says myLAGERS. You click on that box and it's going to take you to our login screen for the myLAGERS site. If you guys have already enrolled in an account, you will simply just enter your user ID and your password and get going. For those of you that are here today that don't have an account yet, we're going to step through how to set that up really quickly. So if you don't already have an account, you will click the Enroll Now button, which is circled in red in the photo to the right. That will take you through the enrollment process. It's pretty simple 7-step process. So we're going to just step through those 7 steps on this webinar today. So you click Enroll Now. The first step is going to be to accept some terms and conditions for using this site. And I have no doubt that you'll read through it word for word. And then when you're done with that, you're going to click I agree. And that will take you on to step 2. So here we need to know who you are so we can give you access to your information in the Eclipse system. And so we need some data about you to find you. So we just need you to enter your first name, your last name, the last 4 digits of your social security number, and your date of birth. And bear in mind that that information has to match exactly what we have in our system. So if you enter that information and you click continue, if for some reason you get an error, like on this picture says your input does not match with our records, please try again. double check all the entry that you made. It's possible that maybe you just misspelled something or transposed a number. If that's the case, then just fix it, hit continue, try again, and hopefully you'll be fine. If you review everything that you entered and you feel like everything's right, don't panic. It is possible that we have maybe a misspelling of your name or an incorrect date of birth from when your employer enrolled you. So if you're having trouble getting in because the data doesn't match, just give us a call, because there's probably something that just needs to be fixed. But it could just be an entry error. Like Joe Loggers was trying to enroll here and he entered his name Joe Logger without the S. So he simply would need to add the S and continue. So once you've got that done and you continue, it will take you to step 3. So here you are going to give us a user ID. So you can make it really whatever you want, but it does have to meet some certain criteria, and that is listed below the user ID box. It has to be at least 6 characters. You can use numbers, letters, @ etc. It gives you all the requirements there. So as long as it fits those requirements, you're golden. So, use something that you're sure that you will remember, or document it somewhere secure. So when you come back to log in the next time, you can have it if you can't quite remember it. Once you've put in your user ID, you'll hit continue. Now on to step 4. So here you're going to put in your password. Kind of like the user ID, there are certain criteria. It has to be, 8 characters long. It has to have an uppercase, lowercase. There's certain criteria there in red. So just make sure that your password meets all those requirements. And then you're going to enter it, and then you're going to re-enter it just to confirm. And then again, try to use something that you're sure you will remember, and then document it somewhere safe so that you can access it the next time you come in if you have trouble remembering it. So enter your password, confirm your password, hit continue. On step 5, you are going to select an image and you're going to name that image with a phrase. This is just for added security. So that when you log in every time, you should see the picture that you chose and the phrase that you named it. So there will be options for the pictures there. So you're just going to pick whichever one you want. So if you want to pick the snowflake, and then you can name it whatever you want. You can name it snowflake, or you can name it, I love snow, whatever. This is just for you so that when you log in, you should see your image and your phrase. And if you don't see your picture and your phrase, you should call loggers right away if you're trying to log in and see something wonky and it's not your picture. So after you've picked your picture and named it, you hit continue. Step 6, you are going to choose some challenge questions. So we require 4, and when you click in the box, there's a drop down and there's several different questions that you can pick from. My suggestion would be to pick a question that the answer can really never change. Your favorite restaurant, mine changes from time to time. And so, if I enrolled 2 years ago, my favorite restaurant today may be something different. So I would tend to choose more like, what is your mother's middle name, daughter's middle name, oldest sibling's name, things like that won't change. Just choose questions that you'll know the answer to in the future. So you'll pick 4 different questions, put in your answer for those 4 questions, and then hit continue. And the last step, you're going to see what we have in the system for your contact information. So just review everything we have and then fill in any blanks that there may be. We may not have a phone number, may not have an email. Certain things are required and they will be marked with a red asterisk. So email address and mailing address, they are required fields. So when you're enrolling, if we do not have at minimum your email and your mailing address, you're going to have to complete that for us. But if it's already there, please review it and make sure it's accurate. If it's not, go ahead and correct it here before you move on. Bear in mind too, on the address, this sometimes confuses people. There are lines for address 1, line 1, 2, 3, and 4. Very rarely are line 2, 3, and 4 used, but they're there just in case. There's just oddball addresses sometimes that need those. But don't be confused that we're asking there for your city, state, and zip. That's what we find sometimes, is that people will enter their city in line 2, their state in line 3, and their zip in line 4, but there are actually separate fields for those. So fill out everything that's required, update anything that's there that is inaccurate. And then the last thing I would point out, when you fill in your email, a lot of times people will give us their work email. Our preference would be that you would give us a personal email. Really mainly just because you may not be at that job forever. Well, obviously, if you're going to retire someday, you won't be at that job forever. And so we want the information that we have to be the best possible so that we can reach you if we need to. So a personal email is preferable. So enter everything, hit continue, and congratulations, your registration is successful. After this, it's going to ask you if you want to register your computer. And so the benefit to doing that would be that every time you log in, if you've used that computer before or that device before and you've registered it, you won't have to answer any of your security questions or anything like that. Do bear in mind that you can only register 3 devices. So if you register a 4th, it'll kick off the oldest one and it just won't recognize that as being one that's registered. So if you go back to that 4th one again, you may have to answer some of your questions, but probably 3 is sufficient. And don't register it if you're on a public computer or someone else's computer. I would really only register it if it's your own personal device. So once you say yes or no, whether you want to register this computer or not, click finish. And then you will also receive a welcome email. And it doesn't really have a lot of information. It's mainly just, congratulations, welcome to myLAGERS. And it gives you some contact information, how to get a hold of us. But really, if anything else, it would give you confirmation that you got your email address right and that, that was all successful. So you should have an email from us after you're done. Okay, so now you're logged in. So now everybody's on the same page. If you weren't enrolled, you are now. And so this is what your home page looks like. So we're just going to kind of go through the functionalities here, the way it looks, navigating around. We'll start over on the left. You're going to see a list of items on the left side there. It starts with inbox and my accounts, personal profile, and so on. These are all links to different pages on the site. And so you can use those to navigate to wherever it is that you want to be. To the right of that, you'll see there are some colored boxes. The green one says my profile, blue is benefit calculator, purple retirement application. These are some of the same items that are on the left, but they're the more commonly used links. And so you can get to the same places using different ways of getting there is all for this. Below those colored boxes, you're going to see my contact information. So every time you log in, you're going to see your address, your phone numbers, your email address. So each time that you log in, it's a good idea to look at those things and be sure that they're accurate. And then moving on, it was too much to fit on one screen, but just below that, then you're going to see a section that says your non-forfeited accounts. And so here it's going to list for you your accounts in the LAGERS system. And so we cover over 800 different unique employers. And so it's possible and actually quite probable that people have multiple accounts under the LAGERS system. And so if you have more than one account, they'll all be listed here and you'll be able to link to those accounts and drill down, to further information. So to the right of that, you'll see some red wording there. The one says, what are non-forfeited accounts? And the other one says, my hire date is wrong. They have this little question mark behind them. Throughout the site, anywhere, if you see those little red wording with a question mark, those are links to our help text and answers to some of the more common questions that we get for things on the site. So if you see that anywhere, just click on it and it will help explain to you, what do we mean by non-forfeited accounts? Or what if my hire date's wrong? What do I do? Or why might it not look right to me? So just bear that in mind as you're navigating around. Below that, kind of just gives a description of LAGERS, we're a defined benefit plan and, explains that. There's a box below that that says your benefit details. So you can click on that. It will also link you to another page that gives you better details about your benefit, your benefits specifically with your employers. And then right below that, there is a chart. It's really just informational. It's your salary information, and it just shows your yearly salaries for the last 5 years. Okay, so moving on, we're going to step through a few of the functionalities that are offered on the myLAGERS. So the first thing I want to go through is updating your profile. So if you log in and you notice on that homepage that, oh shoot, my address is wrong, I need to update that. So you can either click on the personal profile in that left list of navigation items, or you can click on that button down below that says update my address / contact information. Choosing either of those things will take you to the screen where you can update your contact information. So it will populate with what we have on file. So you can either update, replace anything that's inaccurate or add phone numbers, emails, whatever. Once you've got it all filled in, you can hit update and it will instantly be updated in our system. Back to the home screen. The next thing we'll go through is your annual statements. So if you click the annual statements link, you're going to go to the page where we store your member annual statements. And so those benefit statements are mailed to you guys every year. So you do get a paper statement every year. But if for some reason you need to access your 2013 member annual statement and for the life of you, you can't find it, in your file at home, you can come out here and you can download your statement. You simply just check the box next to the one that you need and click download statement. Super easy. It's gonna download. It will go to Adobe. So if you do not have Adobe, you can actually download a free Adobe program. There's a link listed there that you can download it for free. So if you don't already have it, you will need it. But you'll download a PDF and you will be able to view it and print it if you need to. Do bear in mind that we only have statements back to 2011 on the myLAGERS site. That's just because this did not exist until 2011. And so statements prior to that are in a different format and stored in a different place. So if you have the need for a statement older than 2011, just call our office and we can hook you up with that. Okay, so now the next thing would be if you want to view or update your beneficiary information. So you're going to click the beneficiaries button on the left. It's going to take you to a screen where you can see what we've got on file for your beneficiary. And so there's a few things you can do here. You might need to update your beneficiary. Maybe you got your member annual statement and we've got your wife listed with a date of birth 1/3/54. Maybe that date of birth is wrong and you need to just correct it. So you could simply come out here, you click on their name, which is a hyperlink. It will open the record and then you can correct the date of birth and save, and it's instantly updated. Maybe they were your fiance and now they're your spouse and you just want to change the relationship and possibly, obviously the last name might be different. So you can update the current beneficiaries. You can also add a new beneficiary. So this test person here only has a primary beneficiary, but maybe they had a child and they want to add them as a contingent. So you could come out here and you click new, and then you would create a new record with your child's information and then save. And then you would have your primary listed as your spouse, contingent listed as your child, and then it would all be updated. And then you can also, if you just want to change your primary beneficiary, you don't want it to be this person anymore and you want it to be someone new, you can delete beneficiaries here also. One caution is that the system does require that you have a primary beneficiary on file. So if you try to delete the one that exists before you create another one, it will give you an error that says you have to have at least one primary beneficiary. So you'll have to add your new beneficiary first and then go back and delete the old one. So when you're done with all of this, just go ahead and review everything once you're all done and just make sure it all looks right. And then you should be good to go. All right, so the next thing we're going to step through is the benefit calculator. So this is really fun and people really utilize this a lot. It's a really good tool that's available to you guys. So you're going to click benefit calculator over in your left navigation menu. And when you get to this page, you will just click new and you're going to create an estimate that you're going to run. So it'll step through a few things with you. And the first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to name your estimate. You guys can name this, whatever you want. If you're running estimates for different dates or whatever, you can just name it, the date, whatever you like. This is for you. The system will only store 10. You can run 100 if you want to, but it will only save 10. So every time you go over 10, it will kick out the oldest one and then only store the most recent 10. But you're more than welcome to play around and do whatever you want out here. So after you've named your estimate, it's going to ask you what accounts do you want to include? And you might ask, like, why would that be the case? Like I said, some people have multiple accounts with different employers. It could be that one employer has the rule of 80, one doesn't, or maybe you worked in the general department in one and you worked in the police or fire in the other. Police and fire can retire early at 50 and normal at 55, but general employees, it's 55 and 60. So we do have situations sometimes where a police officer had some general employment, but he wants to go ahead and take his police service at age 50, for early retirement, but he's not yet eligible for his general because he can't take that until 55. So that would be a situation where he would choose only his police account and then not the general account because he wouldn't be eligible yet. So you choose what accounts you want to include in your estimate. Step 3, you're going to tell us what retirement date are you going for here. So it's going to default to your earliest date that you can receive full benefits. So normal retirement. So that's just the default. If you want a different date or you're looking at something else, you can always down below click the button and say, I will retire on X date, and you can fill in the date. But the default will always be your full retirement date. And don't panic if you're already over normal retirement age. The system will default to 3 months beyond that. And sometimes people think, oh my gosh, now I have to work, beyond my date. And that's not the case. It's just that if you already are beyond your normal retirement age, we don't know when you're going to retire. So we can't really tell it where to go. So it just defaults to like 3 months into the future. You have to apply 30 to 90 days ahead. And so I think we just picked 3 months just really to have something there. So if it's telling you you have to retire 3 months out, but you're like, no, I'm retiring, in 2 months, you just put in the date that you want here. And you just enter that box and then continue on to step 4. So here we're going to talk about your final average salary. So the system is going to default to the salary that is calculated based on what wages have been reported to us as of today. Now, if you're retiring 3 years, from now, that's, going to be not exactly accurate because you're going to have 3 more years of salaries, but that's all we have right now. So it's really all we can do. So it defaults to your average as of today. You do have the option here to put in something else if you would like. So the second button, if you want to do that, you can just say, this is what I think my final average salary will be as of, this retirement date that I'm doing. You can fill in an amount there. Just bear in mind that this is a monthly average, not the annual. So make sure you put in the monthly average. And the third option there is to actually factor in an increase. So you can say, this is my final average salary and then ask to factor in an annual increase of say 2% or whatever. And what it'll do is it will project the salary that you entered there all the way out to the date that you entered for your retirement with an annual salary increase of whatever percent you entered. And so it will apply that to the final average salary calculation. So there's a little flexibility here and a little play that you can kind of play around with, here's where I think I'll be, and you can, do different scenarios and play around with it to just give you ideas of where you might be, depending how far out in the future you're going on your estimate. Step 5 is your service credit. So there again, the system is going to default to what your projected service will be based on the retirement date that you put in on step 3. So in many situations, that's going to be right. The system for this person says that they have 13.08 years of service, but their projected service to the date that they gave us was 13.5. So if you're active and you're saying, hey, I want to retire in, a year, this should be what you would do. But sometimes people will call and say, hey, I left my job today, or, got let go, unfortunately. Can you tell me, what my benefit will be? Well, the date that we put in for retirement might have been their normal retirement age, but their service is not increasing anymore because they've left that position. So in that case, you would choose the second button, which is just to use the 13.08 years they have as of today, because they've left that position and it's not increasing to their projected retirement date. And then the third option would be to use just a number that you put in for your total service. So it is literally going to ignore what we've got in the system, and it is going to do it based on what you tell us. Really, the most common use for this functionality would be if you're considering purchasing some military service or some other public employment. So if you're going to buy 4 years of military time, you may want to put in there that you had, 20 years of service total. You might have 16 years as of your projected date. And then you're saying, what would my benefit be if I bought 4 more years of military service? So this would give you the ability to kind of compare, what would my benefit be if I don't buy this service? And what would my benefit be if I do buy this service? And then you can kind of decide if it's worth it for you to pay the price for purchasing, because you'll be able to see how much your benefit will increase if you do that. So this is a fun way to be able to play around with that too. Okay, so step 6, you are going to let us know if you have a qualifying survivor. So just bear in mind here, we're not asking who your beneficiary is going to be. We're strictly asking if you have someone that would qualify for certain options so that we make sure that we give you all of the available options. So a qualifying survivor is going to either be a spouse that you've been married to for at least 2 years as of your retirement date, or another person who is over 40 that you have provided more than half support for at least 2 years as of your retirement date. So if you have someone that fits either of those criteria, they would be a qualifying survivor, and then you would be eligible for the options A and B. And we just want to make sure that we have that data so that we can calculate all of the benefit options that are going to be available to you. So if you have a qualifying survivor, we really just need their date of birth, because the factors for the reductions and things for those options are based on the difference between your age and your survivor's age. And so their birth date is really the information we need here. So if you have a qualifying survivor, then you're going to check the second box, and then you're going to enter their date of birth so we can calculate all of your options. And on step 7, we're going to ask you, do you want to calculate taxes? So a lot of times people are awful curious about not only what is my benefit going to be, but how much is the IRS, going to take out of that for taxes. So if you want to tell us your withholding status and fill all that out, when we calculate this for you, we will tell you your gross benefit, and we will also tell you what taxes based on, the designations that you gave would come out of that benefit. So you would have a better idea of your net amount that you're going to be getting. Do bear in mind that this is based on your income just, with us. And so, we don't have access to all of your other incomes, just our loggers benefit. And then we're obviously not tax experts. And so this is not tax advice. It's just more informational so that you would know if you would make those designations, how much tax would come out of your benefit if you do. So then here you are, you're at step 8, you're going to click calculate and save, and it's going to display there all of your available options and the amounts that would be payable to you and to your beneficiary. It will display the partial lump sum amount. And so you will have it all there on the screen in front of you. And you will also have the ability to download it to PDF to view and or print if you would like. So that is the benefit calculator. And then once you're ready to take the plunge and you want to retire, you can also apply for retirement here on myLAGERS. And so on your home screen, you would just choose retirement application from your left navigation menu. And here you're going to have to tell us what type of retirement are you applying for. So it would either be normal or early retirement. We do also offer duty and non-duty disability benefits. So if you're not familiar with those, hit up our website. There's a lot of information out there. Sometimes people don't realize we offer this. And so it's good information for you to have and to know that it's available. Or are you applying for deferred? If you're an individual that left employment prior to being eligible to draw it, you can apply for what we call deferred. And you're just letting us know, hey, I'm no longer there, but I'm going to be retiring down the road. It just kind of allows us to gather up all the information we're going to need when the time comes for you to retire, when you've reached the age that you can start drawing. And so it just makes it that much easier because we've got everything we need. So you can apply for deferred here too. Once you pick the type of retirement, you click new retirement application, and it will take you here to kind of a little wizard. It goes through 5 really super easy steps to apply for your benefit. So in step 1, we just need to gather some important dates about your upcoming retirement. So we need to know what will be your last day of full-time employment. We need to know when your last paycheck will be expected to be paid. And we need to know what your benefit effective date will be. That's super important. And something important for you guys to know too is that our benefit effective dates are always the first of the month. So when you're applying, it will always be for the first. Whatever month it is that you're wanting to retire, we pay benefits on the first for the month. And so we pay once a month on the first. So the effective date would be the first, and you can apply up to 90 days before that date, but you have to apply at least 30 days prior to that date. And it's prior to your effective date. So the first of the month that you're applying for. So just keep that in mind also, that you make sure that you apply timely. You have to give us at least 30 days from the effective date. So you enter all this information, you're going to click next. On step 2, kind of like on your benefit estimate, you're going to let us know what accounts that you're wanting to retire from. So, kind of in the situation we talked about earlier, if you had police service and general, and you're wanting to go ahead at age 50 and take that police, and obviously you're not eligible yet for your general, you would choose your police account and not your general account. So you just pick the accounts here in the box there. It says include, you'll have yes or no. Get all the ones that you want included and hit next. Here we're going to, in step 3, verify your contact information. So hopefully this is all good and accurate. Just review it, make sure everything is good, add any, fill in any blanks. Here you'll see we don't have a phone number. So super important, especially at the point when you're getting ready to retire. I would love to have every single blank filled in, because if something comes up and we need to reach you, it's really great if we have an email address, phone numbers, so we can get a hold of you timely, so we make sure that we don't miss any payments, because we want to make sure this all happens how you want it to. So once that's all reviewed and filled in, I'm going to click next. And step 4, here again is your eligible survivor information. And there again, this is not you designating your beneficiary. It is simply letting us know if there is someone who would qualify for certain options. The choosing of the option and the designating of your beneficiaries, that comes later. After you apply, you'll get some additional information and paperwork from us, and that's where you'll select your option and name your beneficiary. Here, we're just trying to figure out, is there a qualifying survivor, and what options do we need to calculate for you? So if you have someone that met those criteria, a spouse of more than 2 years or another person over 40, that you provide more than half support for at least 2 years prior to retirement, then you're going to enter their information here so that we have it on file. Once you're done there, you click next. And then step 5, you're really just going to review everything, make sure it all looks accurate. If not, go back, a step and fix it. There will be a box where you can enter notes. So if there's anything that you need us to know about your application or your situation, feel free to put notes there. And when it comes through to us, we will see that. On step 3, you're going to need to click just an acknowledgement box, and then there will be a button that says submit application. And then after you submit it, you are going to get an email that confirms that we got it. And it will also give you instructions on submitting your birth certificate. So good information to know there too. When you get ready to retire, we are going to need your birth certificate, because we'll need to verify your age and that you are in fact eligible to retire. So there is also a button there that you can download the application. So if you want a copy for your records, you can download it, print it. And then once you've submitted your application, you can log back in and you can come back and track the progress of your application. So there's a list of things here, our tasks, your tasks. If you've sent something in and you want to know if we've got it, you can come out here and you can look. If the box is checked next to direct deposit form, that means we got it. If it's not checked next to birth certificate and you thought that you sent it, well, we probably didn't get it. So you might want to call us, because that will obviously hold up the process. But you can check back here if you want to see where we're at in the application process. So that really is it. I felt like I went through that really quickly, but I will turn it back over to Jeff and let him tie up loose ends here.
All right. Well, I actually did have one question for you, Tammy.
Yay.
Yeah. So this one, I tried to ask follow-up. I think they may have actually left the webinar since, but we'll ask it because I think the whole group would actually benefit from this question. So it was back whenever you were working through changing beneficiaries, not on the application or the benefit estimate, but the actual beneficiaries listed on myLAGERS.
Okay.
They asked, are there a limited number of people who can be beneficiaries, i.e. parent, brother, spouse? And I'm not sure if they were asking on myLAGERS or if they were asking about disability and survivor benefits. That's what I was trying to figure out, but maybe we can answer both. Yeah.
So the question was if there were a limited number, or as far as like who you can name. Do you think
I think probably both, but it sounds more like they're looking for who.
Right. Well, the designation of beneficiary, it's really actually a good conversation to have, because really when you're designating a beneficiary on your just active member file, really the only time that comes into play is if you have an account balance of member contributions that if there's nothing else payable, who would you want this refunded to? Fortunately, the law will dictate if someone's payable as far as a surviving spouse or dependent children. And we really only come into play here is if there's a refund of contributions. And so as far as how many people or who can be listed, it doesn't matter. You can list, I mean, probably wouldn't, but you could list 100 people and it could be every single one of your neighbors on your street. It could be anybody, because it is strictly going to be used for refunding contributions if there are no other benefits payable.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
I think that's kind of what they were trying to get at, and I
right,
wanted to
right.
elevate that to the whole group.
Yeah.
Just got another question. Maybe let's see. Do I have access to myLAGERS after I've retired?
You do. And I forgot, I told Jeff I was going to mention this at the very beginning and I completely forgot. There is really a whole separate webinar on that because the looks of it is different and what's out there is different. So for retirees, yes, you do. Things that you won't see there obviously is benefit estimates, retirement application, because that you've already done. So there are some different things. You can access your tax documents, your 1099-R. You can change your withholdings on your retirement. So yes, retirees can. They have different things that they can do. So we have a whole different webinar for that because it's completely different menu of options there.
Yeah, and when you're retired, what we do is we don't just send out the general meetings invites. We just send you the meetings for just the retirees. There's so many other meetings that we're doing that are for active members and employers that as a retiree, we don't want to be filling your inbox with things that don't really necessarily mean a whole lot to you.
Right.
Okay, I think that's it on questions, but if you do have more, just keep typing them because I got a few wrap up items. And if I get a couple to pop in, we'll elevate them to Tammy. So a couple follow-ups. First is how to stay connected with us. So obviously we have a number of different webinars and on-site and in-person meetings that we can do. Our in-person meetings that we do a lot of are pre-retirement seminars, but if you are a representative for your employer and you want us to come on site, we can do presentations for early and mid-career employees. It's specifically designed for just them. Keeps it high level and keeps it fun. It's not really a mundane and dry presentation. It's very entertaining, interactive. We create a contest, lots of fun stuff, and we buy lunch for up to 70 folks. Or if you got folks that are near retirement, we can do an on-site pre-retirement seminar. And then, of course, all of our online offerings. So definitely stay connected with us. The best place to look for all of our upcoming events that are scheduled events is on our events page on our website. But you should also be receiving a monthly events email if you have a listed email address as either an employer or an active member. But that's pretty much it. I don't see any other questions coming in. So I do appreciate everyone's time today. I hope you found this webinar to be informative. Oh, just got a question, figures, right? Get ready to wrap it up and we get another question.
Good.
Is it possible to get a copy of the slide deck? I think we could probably provide that for you. I'll get you a PDF. Donna, I'll circle back with you after the webinar and we'll talk about getting you some info for the slide deck.
Okay. And Jeff, before we go, there is one other thing I should probably point out, and maybe we should add it to the slideshow next time, but we do also deactivate these accounts after a year of inactivity. So if you enroll and you don't get out here, and I know you don't really have the need to be out here often, but I encourage you to get out there at least maybe once a year, just so your account doesn't go inactive. Worst case scenario, if it does, you just re-enroll, you just create another account. You still exist in our system, so you're not losing anything. You'll still be able to access all your information. But we have to deactivate them after a year if they haven't been accessed. And so if you come back and you're having trouble getting in, it could be that your account was deactivated if you haven't been out there in a while.
Yeah,
I think I'd throw that little tidbit in there.
Yeah, I think that's a really good piece to add on for the attendees, because as well, the reasons we do it, there's a couple reasons, but the primary reason that I understand is one is it's a system cost perspective, but the other is security, because you don't want a whole bunch of your user IDs just sitting out there on the internet. And I think by us clearing that up on a regular basis averts some risk for our members. So that's one of the couple things that we do that for. But anyway, I think that's the last question. I'm going to give you last call, last 30 seconds as I wrap up. If you do have any questions for us after this, feel free to give us a call anytime, Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. It's our job to assist you with any questions that you have. So make sure that if you do have them, or if any of your employees have them, then make sure that they give us a call. But we do appreciate everyone's time, and we hope you have a great rest of your week.
All right. Thank you.
See ya.